listening to Inclusive AF with Jackye Clayton and Katee Van Horn.
All right, here we go again. This is Katee Van Horn.
And I'm Jackye Clayton.
And this is the Inclusive AF podcast. Welcome.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey.
Here we are again.
I've got my fun glasses on today.
And a beautiful kitchen behind you, I might add.
Thank you. I cleaned it up and everything.
Straight off the Zoom background.
Yes.
My clean kitchen.
Yes, it's normally my gray background. I'm actually in my own house with my fake kitchen.
Yes, I love it. I love it. All right, so today we have a couple different things that we want to talk about, and I think, the first one, and we talked about this a little bit last week, but digging in a little bit more on what companies are now doing and how they're reacting to President Trump's proclamation around diversity training and not focusing on critical race theory and not focusing on the actual accurate history of the United States. So,
did you ever think ever?
Did I sound biased
we
when
would
I said
be
that?
Here? I mean, it's
No.
like
It's absurd.
P.S. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast, but it is October, which is Filipino American History Month. Mm-hmm. And the Filipino people came to what we now call the United States in the 1500s. And yet, it's like, oh, we started it.
Christopher Columbus was the only one that matters.
Right.
Yes.
And why do we celebrate mediocrity? Tomorrow is Columbus Day.
Columbus Day, yes. Getting lost is always an important thing.
In the wrong country.
Always good to celebrate people getting lost. So
like Scooby-Doo.
There's a lot we can go into on this one. Okay,
that's right.
So let's I think it would be good, and I would love to dig in. So I think some of the tech companies are definitely pushing back on this and are definitely questioning this because they're getting contacted by the Department of Labor and other entities within the government asking about their hiring practices and if they are discriminatory and things along those lines when companies are making commitments to hire more Black and brown people of color. And so I am very perplexed as to why the Department of Labor is getting involved in this conversation when this work is actually being done. It's not being done well at times, but we're making some progress. And so it's just frustrating. So would love your thoughts.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of different things that we have to look at. There is mandates that are already put in place. Like you were saying, it is, you can have goals and targets. That's lawful, right? Mm-hmm. You are able to do that. And I'm not a lawyer, but those things are lawful. And the thing that is perplexing to me is that if you look at like their own EEO-1 data, it'll say like 3% African American.
Right.
And then they say we would like to hire more African Americans. And Trump's like, can you prove to me that that's not discrimination? Like, okay, look at the numbers. Like, what are the I would love to hear what he thought those numbers meant to him.
Right.
Like, what's the opposite of that?
Right. And I think that's a piece. And I think this goes to, the topic that I know you and I have had, or the conversation you and I have had before around how to actually increase diversity in organizations. And it's not about, you must hire X number of African Americans or whatever it might be. It's really about what are the processes behind it to get to those numbers and to create an environment. And especially Microsoft is such a great example where, they have presence kind of in multiple places throughout the US. Seattle obviously is a huge presence, but they also have a huge presence in Sunnyvale, San Francisco area. Yeah. And so there is that question of like, what is discrimination in the Department of Labor and the government's mind right now? And how are they actually considering this as a discriminatory practice to say, we're going to do our best to try to hire more people of color.
Well, and so I want to read something that came from the general counsel of Microsoft, and it says, specifically, it says OFCCP has focused on whether Microsoft's commitment to double the number of Black and African American people managers, senior individual contributors, and senior leaders by 2025 could constitute unlawful discrimination on the basis of race, which would violate Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. We have every confidence that Microsoft's diversity initiative complies fully with all U.S. employment laws. We look forward to providing the OFCCP with this information and, if necessary, defending our approach. And I think that's hilarious.
Well,
like, we'd love to show you.
Right. And the fact that it is something that we're even having a discussion about and having to defend. But I will tell you, I think this is where the conversation comes up with folks around, are we lowering the bar by hiring people of color, or by, thinking about diversity in hiring? And that is one of the most frustrating and obnoxious things that I have to deal with. I mean, there's a lot of obnoxious things I have to deal with some leaders, but that is one of the biggies, where the insult of, why would you think that you have to lower the bar just because we're thinking about diversity in our hiring?
That's right.
That's just obnoxious too. And especially knowing that women of color specifically are so much more educated, have so much grander and expansive experience in so many ways. And yet the response is, we don't want to lower the bar. And so there is that, you need to defend what you're doing, because here's what I don't want to have happen. And it happened with some of the affirmative action work, is you did have people feeling like, I only got hired because I filled X and I checked a box. And I don't think any organization is trying to do that right now. I not that I know what Microsoft's plan is, but that is not what I would consider actually hiring for diversity. I think what they're doing, and what, I think every company is trying to do, is find candidates and find people to fill these roles that they have open that are more diverse, because we've been going to the same pool over and over again, which is very white, which is very male, especially in tech. And instead looking other places, because they're out there, it's just, you have to find them. And I think this also goes to, when you think about the senior manager and the comments there from the, from the general counsel at Microsoft, it's also what are your promotion processes, or how do you decide on promotions? Because we know, you and I both dealt with this in our careers. It's the squeaky wheel. That's the person that gets a promotion. It's the person that, takes credit for things, whether they handle it or not.
That's
so, it is that challenge that I think a lot of people have of, how are we actually doing this to make sure it's not biased, to make sure it's not the squeaky wheel every time that gets the promotion? How are we thinking about our processes?
And I think if you look at it, the thing that's different about them at Microsoft is that they're not just saying that they're making the hires, they're making the investment, starting all the way from elementary school and secondary education. They're looking at HBCUs. They're expanding it. They're putting offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, and Reston, Virginia, places that are economically disadvantaged, but also have a lot of African Americans that they can add into their talent pool. So they're doing it righter than anybody else that I've ever seen.
Right.
They're really making the investment. They said 2025. It's a long play, but they are taking it seriously. And I'm proud of them for what they said. And I know that it's going to be, I would be, well, maybe I shouldn't be shocked given everything else, but I would be shocked if this went somewhere into the Supreme Court. I think the impact would be absolutely devastating. But I also think it's really ridiculous to, if you can't see the benefit. And that's the other thing that's very interesting, is that we know that there is a financial impact in the positive from doing this, from having it. So that's the other question. What, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
They're literally talking about building jobs for whoever the president is. You'll get credit for it, Mr. President. we're going to create jobs. We're going to increase like the bottom line. So we're going to have more wealth in these groups. They're going to be more economically advantaged. So that means there's less, things going on within the government. It adds more money within those locations. And you're saying that that's a bad thing. Okay.
But again, I don't think it has anything to do. I think, in my opinion, I think what President Trump is trying to do right now, right before the election, is double down on everything he can from a white supremacy. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. He knows who his base is. He knows what their beliefs are, and he wants to cultivate that as much as he can. And I mean, I think we're all seeing it on our social media where there are a lot of people that are like, yep, absolutely, he's right to be doing this. And even like, nauseous. Right. And if you think about like just the training, going back to that for a moment, taking the hiring out of it, but the training that, has been banned or has been, they've been told that they can't do this anymore. I don't mean to laugh because it's just so ridiculous, but
I'm sorry.
But it is one of those things where what you're basically saying is let's rewrite history. So the Eurocentric, Euro-dominant, white-dominant male looks okay in this narrative. So you're rewriting history. We've already, whitewashed history so much to make it like the people we put on the slave ships, it's fine. That's fine. And
it is history. Like there's like proof. Like you can't just like
rewrite history.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you trying to say? Like, remember when we were talking in Waco about the Cotton Palace, which was this event celebrating cotton, and they didn't want to have slavery in it. But how did you get there? You can't you can't have one without the other. That's why it's like, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
You cannot have it both ways.
Right. But I also think, I think not.
But he doesn't care.
Politics.
That's the end of it. That's the point of it.
Right.
And for those of you, I said dog whistle earlier, and not everybody is familiar with that jargon. Dog whistles are when people are saying things that are kind of passive aggressive to alert a certain group. It's like double speak. And people will hear that and have certain action, and other people like me are like, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you training? And then all of the other people are like, oh, okay, good. He doesn't like black people. And I'm like, what? Why would you do that? And that's what we were saying that he's done over and over again with his tweets and the posts, with anti-Semitic rhetoric, or when he said stand up, stand by, that was a dog whistle. Like, he just keeps doing it over and over again.
Well, even, and it started, I think, right after the election with Charlottesville, when he made the comment around there's good people on both sides in regards to the white terrorists, because that's what they are, white terrorists that showed up for the protest that was going on, the peaceful protest. And, the woman was killed by a car running through the crowd. So like, it has been, even his announcement for candidacy, the way he opened it up about Mexican people being rapists and murderers. And it's like, what in the world? Like, it's hard to understand why someone would go down that path. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand the logic, but I also, I don't understand much of what he does.
I just don't know why you would want to be president that freaking bad.
Amen. I think now it's an ego piece. There's nothing else to it other than ego. I think that was it from the get-go, the two. Sure. But I also think the part, and I want to shift over to the VP debate from this past week, because that's also a topic I want to talk about. But I think it's so absolutely spot on that right now he's looking at his financial interest, and he has from the get-go of, making sure that things are being held at his golf courses, or suggesting that they are held at his golf courses, making sure that dignitaries and whatnot stay at his hotels. Every deal he's made, and there's stuff that we know, and I will say one of the best comments I heard from Kamala this past week was around he owes 700 million, I think it was. I don't remember
right.
the exact figure. Who does he owe that to?
That's right.
And what does that actually do to someone from what decisions are you making as the president of the United States? How does that impact your decisions? And that's just scary to think about. And I think that's what a lot of people are going, what in the world?
Because you're not supposed to be able to be president if you have that certain amount of debt, because you're able to do it in your favor.
Right.
I mean, that's like and
it's even if you have that debt, it is who are you beholden to now? Who owns you?
Right.
Because I think, like, have debt, whatevs. It is what it is. Like, that's fine. But it's who do you owe that to? What are your interests, and what decisions are being impacted because of those interests? And we all know damn well that Donald Trump is about Donald Trump.
That's right.
The end.
Period.
So I just mentioned it. VP debate. What are your thoughts?
So, one of the things that I thought was very funny and telling was that the press really does respect Kamala Harris, because there were so many meme moments that could have happened the next day that didn't.
Right.
I was glad. I was completely triggered, and it just reminded me of every time I was in a meeting and spoken over and dismissed. I thought she did a good job of holding herself together. My favorite moment was when she said, "Don't try to tell me about this." But then it made me think of my mom when I told her she couldn't tell me what to do. Like, it just felt like that.
Before we move on, I need to let you know about my friend Mark Pfeffer and his show, People Tech. If you're looking for the latest on product development, marketing, funding, big deals happening in talent acquisition, HR, HCM, that's the show you need to listen to. Go to the Work Defined Network, search up People Tech, Mark Pfeffer. You can find him anywhere.
Once again, the moderation was just piss poor, and that's part of the other reason why it was triggering, because he was doing it to Kamala and he was doing it to Susan, who I forget her last name, and like, seriously, on the one side I was like, oh, let me be a moderator. On the other side I was like, if I was moderator, I would have walked off the stage.
Right. Well, the complete disrespect.
Correct.
That I think, I'm sure I saw so much on Twitter and every other social media, for every woman on the planet, this resonates, because of the fact that how many times have you had to, during a meeting, go, I'm speaking.
That's right.
Let me finish my thought. Let me finish what I'm saying. And how many times have you been talked over? When it is, hey, you know what, it's not your turn anymore. Let's move on to what we're talking about. Well, no, I have to finish something. I need to finish what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can you answer this question? And he says, no, I'm not going to answer that question.
I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about.
That's when we would be scrapping, and why I'm not running for vice president.
No.
Because at that point, that's like, those are fighting words.
Absolutely. Absolutely. and I agree with you wholeheartedly that Kamala did a phenomenal job of just holding her own. And I think the part that is so frustrating to me, like, as I listened and read everything after, and, all of the different stories that were coming out, and especially Black women saying, God, this is so familiar, and how she had to literally balance every word that she said and measure every way that she responded, every way that she reacted, to make sure that she still had a smile on her face and everything's great. But at the same time,
didn't turn into an angry Black woman, even though she was well within her right and should have been angry because of the way that she was being treated and disrespected in that moment.
But I did love that she did call him out a few times to say, like, I'm the only one on this stage who actually has been in these roles, so you don't get to tell me what this is like or what we should be doing about this when you're talking about law and order. And I know, like, obviously the presidential debate, I don't think anyone won. I think that was just a mess of messes. And I'm actually, like, I think kind of everyone in the U.S. feels like I'm kind of glad that this second one has been canceled, because it's like, no one wants to see this.
Right.
But for this one, I mean, I personally feel like Kamala did a great job of getting points across, of countering some of the stuff that Pence was lying about, because let's be clear, it was all lies. But I also felt like The Fly did a really good job of reinforcing.
If it wasn't for that fly, there would have been riots.
Oh my goodness gracious! I
Well,
was
like, what is that? Like, I was looking at it on my computer. I was trying to get the thing, and then I was like, and the fact. Let's talk about that. The Biden campaign was on it in seconds.
Yeah,
they have.
Here's a fundraiser, Fly Swatter.
Fly for me or something. Yeah, in a second had that stuff up and ready.
But I also would say, like, so I was talking to my brother about it yesterday, and he was like, I just don't understand why they didn't like say something, like the moderator or someone. I'm like, well, the moderator probably didn't see it, because she's not seeing it on camera, you know, in the digital TV that we
really,
now.
I'm sorry, your fly's down. I don't think.
Right. No. But it was also like, it went on for such a long time that it also was like, well, why didn't someone from back behind the camera say something? And I was like, again, what are they supposed to do? Interrupt the debate to be like, oh, hey, there's a fly on here. And clearly very gel, very hairspray hair.
Ironically, the fly was on his head for 2 minutes, which is the same amount of time that he was supposed to use. So, which tells you 2 minutes is long enough time.
Right. It's a really long time.
It seemed like an eternity.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I was dying. That made me laugh. But but there were some moments that did not get addressed and did not get answered. Mm-hmm. And I think I would like a moderator to hold people to that. I know that they have a list of questions, but on both sides of letting people off just easy. And so we can't make good decisions if we don't have all of the information. I'm also concerned when we're looking at it, like there are news reports talking about how much further ahead Biden is over Trump, but he's not really in comparison to where we were almost 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's not doing as well as Hillary was doing at this moment. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we're not getting all the information. And so, So again, if I know we're not going to do another vice president one, and now we're not doing the presidential one.
Right. But I also from those two debates, I don't think anyone's minds were changed. No. If anything, it just caused more confusion and more frustration for people that I would say are undecided, although I'd be shocked if there's truly anyone that's undecided at this point. But there is that whole concept of, like, some of the things that didn't get answered. You know, Pence made the comment or question to Kamala that, like, oh, hey, what are you going to stack the court, the Supreme Court if Biden's elected? And she didn't answer, and obviously Biden didn't answer during the presidential debate either, but it was one of those things like, you wanted her to say, that's what you've been doing. That's what you and Trump have been doing for 4 years. And you've been stacking every level of the courts with uber conservative judges that have been proven to be not okay and not good. And now you're going to turn this into, now you're going to try and take that away from us if we get Amy Coney Barrett. Is that her name? Whatever her name is.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
But I even think, they were saying, like, it was amazing that people are saying in regards to her, they're like, you shouldn't even take the role. It's one of those things like where you should say, I want this to be fair. I want this to be, I mean, plus that's a long time to sign up for a job.
4 years could turn into 8. We're not sure. Yeah. Like, also, the president's 900 years old, so at any moment you might have to step in. Yeah. Any second. But I mean, that's Pence's. Like, I actually, when all of this, and it's still going on with Trump having COVID, there was like will this actually? Because at this point, obviously, the ballots cannot be changed. So
That's
if
right.
Trump is elected based on the ballots and something did occur to him prior to the actual election, then Pence becomes the president. And I kind of was sitting back going, are there conservatives that are going, actually, yeah, that might be better because Trump is so all over the map right now that it's just hard to figure out what he might say or do and what direction he might go in. I mean, and this week was a great example of what in the world is going on when you have him say, yeah, we're not doing anything, any sort of stimulus relief. We're not doing any of that. Oh, wait, maybe we will. Oh, wait, here's my proposal. Oh, wait, no, it's all the Democrats' fault. And it's like, can you all just sit in a room and figure this out?
Do y'all talk to each other? I mean,
right.
But the thing you brought up how, yes, Kamala didn't answer the question about stacking the courts. And this is kind of a new thing. Like, I don't even know if they've had the conversation. She's asked him if they're going to protect and get rid of pre-existing conditions because of everything going on. They should have the answer to that though.
Right.
They've been trying to they haven't come up with anything better than the Affordable Care Act.
No.
They have utilized.
Wait, what are you talking about, Jackie? They have a plan.
Girl, if I could jump through the screen. And so the thing is, this just came up in the last month. You're talking about something you've been talking about for almost 4 years. And they don't have an answer for that.
Right.
That's just.
Well, they don't have an answer on quite a few things. I mean, immigration, they have no idea and no plan. And what's happening right now, let's be very clear, is not working and is not okay.
No, it is not okay.
They have no plan on healthcare. They have no plan on how we're going to figure out the economy right now with everything going on with COVID, where if we don't see some money infused into the states right now, it's not good. It's not good at all.
I love you. Katie says, it's not good.
It's not okay. It's not going to end well, folks.
And you brought this up. We started with Microsoft. We went to the VP, which brings us to, why are we having this conversation? We're talking about inclusive AF. Because why
are we having this?
I don't know. I think we're just triggered. But the thing is that it's getting ugly and it's getting uncomfortable. It's so hard when we talk about, like, you and I are very big about it being inclusionary, trying to get people to bring people together. And how do you bring people together at work when the narrative is, on the one side, you must be a racist.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like, that's the only thing that people say.
Right.
Or on the other side, I don't know what people say about it. Just like leftists, Antifa, I don't know what people say.
Right.
But you have this argument, like, you have to work together as a group. It's beyond, like, I mean, it was always there, but not so explicit. And like 4 years ago, it was just, can we all get along? And this year it's like, no, we can't. Not without these things happening.
Right.
And you can't, if you're being inclusive, you want to have all of those ideas and opinions there.
Right.
So how do you, especially if somebody is in a position of power that you know that you are in direct conflict, because the days of, don't talk about politics at work.
Yeah, that's over.
Are over.
Yeah, but it's also don't talk about politics at work. And oh, by the way, we're in one of the most emotional, sensitive, chaotic points in our history.
You could get fired because we don't have any stimulus and we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
But don't talk about that.
But don't talk about it. And I think that is the part that is, this is where I struggle at times, because part of my conversation is we have to be inclusive of everybody.
That's right.
Even folks who are conservative, even folks who maybe aren't there and aren't at the same place on the journey of diversity. And not that is like, oh, it's okay and they don't have to learn, but we have to bring people along from where they're starting. And I always, count it as a win when we can move people further down the path. That doesn't mean we're absolutely changing their minds and their entire belief system. But if we can change their behaviors at work, that's a win.
That's right.
And I think that's part of it too, is that, and you and I talk about this, bring your authentic self to work within a professional way.
Unless
we don't agree with your beliefs. And so, there is that
work.
Yeah. Like, okay. And that's, it's the whole, like, okay, if I'm supposed to bring my authentic self to work and I'm a white supremacist, then what? Then what do you do? Or whatever.
I think what's important is what people need to do within their own organizations is make sure that they are very clear on their mission, on their values, on their goals, and on their culture. They have to be very explicit and very particular and give people an out and say, listen, if you don't want things to be inclusive and you hate everybody and you are nasty, this just isn't the place. There's plenty of places where you can go, but it's the same thing where this is what's required of this job. And these are what our core values are. That's why they tell you your core values, so that you don't have to work there if you don't want to.
Right. You get to
you
decide.
have a choice. But if you're going to work here, it's like, but me and my house, this is the way we're rolling here.
Absolutely.
So if you want to stay here, this is what we expect for you. That's normal.
Yes.
That's very normal. And so
it's right.
I think that you have to be very clear. And for the organizations that don't want to do it, that's their message is clear.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
That's the only way that it isn't that you don't want to be able to bring your authentic self, but it's like, if I'm going to be violent, angry, and disruptive in the workplace, then there is no place for that. It doesn't mean that you can't have a difference of opinion. People have differences of opinion at work all the time. But if it gets to the place where it's getting in the way of our organization being productive, we have to stop and think about that. And you have to nip it in the bud, because it is work. We have work to do.
Yes. And I'm going to counter that, or add to that, layer on that, because I think the other piece that we're struggling with in organizations right now is that you do have a predominantly male leadership in a lot of organizations, predominantly white male. And this is not a ding on white males, because this is what they have been brought up with and taught from birth, is their number one. And so it's also that, how do you help them unlearn some of those things? Because it is live the values, all those things. And they can say, well, hey, I'm living the values. I'm being totally inclusive and I'm being great. But if you also aren't thinking about the fact that you have those biases inside your brain, and you have the systems and tools and processes that keep marginalized groups out of certain rooms, out of certain roles, out of certain things. And I mean, the greatest example that I can say just off the top of my head is, in tech, for so many women, you get to a certain level of an engineer and then they start pushing you to product owner or program manager.
That's right.
And away from writing code.
That's right.
And there is this implicit bias of, oh, well, that's what, the women should be organizing and keeping us on track and keeping our project on a timely basis and all these things. And we'll be back here writing code, behind closed doors in a quiet, dark room. So I think that that's the other piece. And I'm thinking about a specific leader right now where he doesn't even know, in having these conversations, he's still going, oh yeah, that's other people are doing that. Oh yes, other people. And you're like, well, but you're leading the team and you're the number one for this organization.
Right.
So you're the one, and you are actually someone that needs to step back from your own beliefs and start questioning what you know to be true.
And that's the other part that when you bring it up, because for those organizations where they are making a statement and they are doing things, you still have to make sure that you have things in line. You still have to have the baseline. You can't just say it. I recently had a career change, and during that process was asked if I wanted to consider a chief diversity officer role. And in order to get into that role, they asked for me to write almost in response to where their key values were, how I was going to implement those things. And I was like, okay, this is a whole problem.
Sorry.
Number one, I'm not giving you my work. I charge for that.
Right.
Number two, you need to have a conversation with me.
Right.
They reached out to me again last week to ask if I would reconsider having a conversation. And I was like, no. Because you showed me your cards when you didn't want to first have a conversation with me to be able to do this, which means,
yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
But I also think I'm gonna pull up a visual, and I'm sure you have seen this before, but it's one that I recently have been kind of digging in on, and this is one that I think people. Can you see this? Okay.
Can you make it a little bigger?
I don't know.
Even though I do have my fashion glasses on, which means
you would think I would be able to make it okay or make it bigger. Ugh.
Yeah, go up to the little
green.
Know. Go right up there.
Where?
To the little green thing right there.
Right where?
On the maybe it's me. On the left.
Oh my goodness. You're like, no. I'm gonna stop this. Hold on one second. Because I need to find a bigger one.
Hey, we're the Payroll Baddies, and our mission is to make payroll fun and relatable.
And call out industry when we hear it.
You gotta call it out. You gotta call it like you see it. But we also gotta shine a light on all those unsung payroll heroes out there, making sure we get paid.
Yeah, those are the real payroll baddies out there, and we love sharing their stories and showing them love.
With gold chain and everything, baby.
By the way, SAP is the best payroll out there, and if you don't like it,
get
out. So I don't know if you saw what that was, but basically it's the pyramid of covert and the covert racism, and how people think about white supremacy, think about oh well, my actions aren't being overt, and so therefore it's okay. And it's just fascinating. Oh, come on. Why are these things
fascinating? That's one word for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be kind.
I know. You did a great job of that.
Yes. Why is this thing not opening?
Let's see. Well, share it. Just share it again. I think you can kind of see it. It just looked kind of small. And I just want to make sure you're in maximum.
Oh, I'm in maximum.
You're maximum.
Yes, I am. Okay, how's this?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, perfect. So this is one that, I think is such a good reference for folks, because I think a lot of times when you talk about white supremacy, people immediately go to those things above the line, that overt, hey, if I'm using the N-word, if I'm a part of the KKK, if I have a swastika tattoo or whatever, all of those things that are extremely over the top. I mean, even, and I do appreciate this visual that has like racial slurs and racist jokes on there, because I think a lot of times those are like, oh, well, it's no big deal and can be considered kind of covert, which they're not. But I also think that the below the line is where we see so much, where so much of this work needs to be done. And, and you just mentioned one here, expecting the people of color to teach white people. So give me your entire learning on how we should be thinking about D&I.
Right.
And then we'll decide if we want to hire you as an employee, not to pay you for that, but just because we want you to do that work for free for us. Is that cool? And like all of these things are just interesting to kind of think through. And what I've said to people as I've showed them this is go and look up what all of these things mean. If you don't know what it means, if you don't know, why would this be an issue? Because I think one of them, is the what about me-isms, all of those things, because it is
paternalism. I just looked up for the first time. It's the policy or practice on the part of people in positions of authority of restricting the freedom and responsibilities of those subordinate to them in the subordinate's supposed best interest.
Yep.
Girl.
I'm gonna take and let me be clear. That one actually makes me think of white women that are in that space of I listen to my husband regardless, and he's the one, and he knows all the things. Ladies, he doesn't. FYI, in case there are questions.
Not true.
This is not an accurate position.
Sure not. Sure not.
But I think that's a great example of, how Trump even got into office is you had these women that were, Christian women listening to their husbands who said he's the one and not thinking of their own interests, but being told by their husbands, he'll take care of you. Well, is he really taking care of women? No. And so all of these, I think, are just, again, I don't want to go through every single one of them, but I just think this is a great visual for folks. Go look these things up. Yes. Go, dig in on them because it's such an interesting thing. And even, some of these topics, it's the whole concept of, there's two sides to a coin, but these issues, a lot of times it isn't a two-side thing. There are lots of different ways of thinking about it. There's lots of different ways of understanding it, like anti-immigration policies and practices. Like that's a great example because there is a right answer, but to get there, what do we have to do? And how do we have to think about some of these things? And where do we, there's so much to it and it's so multifaceted that's just another great example where you need to dig in, you need to form your own opinion, you need to actually do the research. And so part of this for me is also you can't just listen to one news article or, one news program and think that you know all of the things. And even too, you actually have to dig and then put it through Snopes and then go ask a friend. And then you have to do 17 different things to actually go, is this accurate information? At
least two sources. And let's be clear. You're either going to jump on board and get this stuff or it's just going to happen to you, right? Right. You're either going to work with this at some point. You're not going to have a choice. People who are because we already know that people that right now are underrepresented, there's several groups that are becoming more representative of that. And especially when we're looking about people that are brown and black people, we already know this. It's just going to be there. And I don't think, and I think the struggle is, and we kind of talked about this, is that we know that there's a system, it's systemic. Oh, we didn't even talk about that when we talked about Pence that said he doesn't believe that there's systemic racism. How did we just gloss over that?
I don't know. You're right. No, yes.
What? Anyway.
Actually, I want to reserve that for the next podcast because I think that can take a whole lot of time. Yeah. So let's dig in there. But
sorry.
But in regards to data, and you mentioned this earlier, from the poll perspective, we had so many polls leading up to the 2016 election that said Hillary's got this in the bag and everything's fine and don't you worry.
Yes.
And then so many people on election night were like, what just happened?
Yes.
Because the data said the exact opposite.
And people didn't vote. And that's what I'm worried about. It's like CNN, shut up.
Yes, exactly. And that's all of my friends, that's the conversation we have all the time is do not listen to the polls, period. Everyone needs to go vote. But I did see a number yesterday, the day before, that 1.2 million people have already turned in ballots or voted.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, as opposed to 400,000 at the same time in 2016.
Yes.
How awesome is that? And here's the thing, this is going to not sound great, but I don't even care who you voted for. I'm just happy you voted.
I'm happy that you're getting involved.
Yes. And I think we do have all of the things that I could say about President Trump that I am not a fan of. I will say he is sure getting people physically, he's really getting people very involved in politics and what's going on in their world. So there's.
Yes. Have you ever seen Get Me Roger Stone, the documentary? Go on Netflix and watch it as soon as we're done.
Okay.
Because Roger Stone, he was there for Trump and did some of those things. And one of the things that he says is that hate is a greater motivator than love. And that's why we're seeing some of those things.
Yeah. which makes total sense because so many people, it was, I don't care who it is, I just don't want it to be Hillary.
That's right.
The emails, Jackie, the emails.
Girl. And that's the other thing they were saying. They were like, yeah, but at this point, we didn't hear about the emails or whatever. I mean, I just can't.
Well, and you did hear him, Trump, saying this past week, you know, oh, well, Biden should be in jail along with Obama and Hillary. And you're like,
please
get a new record because this one's old. Like,
done.
Play a different.
He said,
well,
if all of his advisors weren't in jail, he would have a better idea on what to say.
Exactly. This is very true. Or down with COVID.
I learned something this weekend. I watched
What did you
Deaf
learn?
You
Okay.
on Netflix. It's a reality TV show about these young 20-somethings. And they were saying they knew if you were a Trump supporter or not because they came up with a word. So if you supported Donald Trump, you spell out Trump. And for those people who don't like Donald Trump, this is the sign for Trump because of his hair and the toupee.
Oh, my
and they were like, the
goodness
deaf
gracious.
community gave him his deaf name. He should be glad. Dead. I wish everybody was like that. It would be so
Right.
much easier to know.
Right. Here you
You
go.
know?
Here's the answer.
If you called him this, then you would just.
Oh, my word.
Oh, I just don't see. I don't know where we're going. I don't
Yeah.
know where this is going to land. And I hope that, and I'm not kidding. I know that it's going to be difficult for people to make some of these choices, but I think that if you are going to be supportive and you are going to be part of trying to be inclusive AF, that you make that known sooner than later. Because I think what's going to happen, as we'll see, is that because we're already starting to see it happen. You're gonna like whatever we talked last time about Wells Fargo. You're gonna lose those people, and you're gonna send them to other people that will have that competitive advantage. And with cancel culture, you'll be done.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
either, if you want to be, like problematic and you don't want to have an inclusive environment, fine, let it be known. But if you do, let it be known and start working on it before it's too late.
For sure. So what is your 1 or 2 or 17 things that you want folks to take away from this?
Or 17.
Not 17 really. From this episode, what is the one thing? So you said go watch the Roger Stone.
Yes,
Thing.
go get me Roger Stone.
Okay. Go get me Roger Stone is what it's called.
Yeah, get me Roger Stone, I think.
Get me Roger Stone.
It's on
Okay.
Netflix.
Okay.
The other thing I want you to do is learn the laws and don't let this push from Trump to go to organizations make you afraid of implementing diversity training in your own organizations.
Yes.
Because again, what he's saying is not going to hold up, but he's trying to scare people. You need to understand what the laws are, and the difference between all of the different things, or at least make sure that your HR department or the people that should really, really know are doing those things, and ask them for their information.
Yes.
I would also say to continue doing your research and learning about marginalized groups.
That's 3. You're at 3.
That's it. And I would like to tell you that I did not know these glasses were this big when I ordered them, but
I would like to say they're the most fabulous glasses, and I made you put them on. I'm going to go ahead and admit that you had other glasses on, and I asked you to switch out to these ones because I love them so much. So my one thing that I'm going to ask folks to do, see how good I am, just fun.
Good.
That visual. So if you Google covert versus overt white supremacy, there's 20 different versions, if not more, of that visual. Go look at 1 or 2 of them and just pick out the words that you don't understand or that you don't know.
Yep.
If you don't know what redlining is, if you don't know what the white savior complex is, if you don't know whatever, look that up and start to learn more, because that's how you actually will grow and understand. And I mean, I think that is critical right now, is for us to educate ourselves and then go have a discussion about it with a friend, whoever that friend may be. Go talk about it with someone else and teach them as well, so that we can keep educating folks. So that's all for this episode.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. And we'll talk to you next week for the next episode of the Inclusive AF podcast. Bye.
Deuces.